We'll call the City Council adjourned meeting for Monday, August 29th, 2005 to order, please. Roll call.
Arbogast.
Here.
Garnis.
Here.
Gisselbeck.
Here.
Heller.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Meisenheimer.
Here.
Solberg. Walder.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
And York.
Here.
Thank you.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1 on the agenda this evening is the citizen recognition for contribution to the Bike Patrol, and Chief Vitek will speak to that. We're just waiting a few minutes while they bring the bikes in. Chief, you're up. Thank you, fellas. Item number 2 on the agenda this evening is the second reading of ordinance number 5-09, amending chapter 7.18, adding a new section requiring candidates for mayor and aldermanic office receive a majority of votes cast in any election. Tracy, will you speak to that, please?
Certainly, this is the ordinance provision, and I know Stanton Fox, at your most recent council meeting, explained to you the effect of this. Essentially, it is just puts into place the option under state law that will provide for a runoff election in future city elections where we have 3 or more candidates running for a particular seat, and none of those candidates in the first election receives a majority of the votes. So this would provide for that runoff election then 2 weeks following the original election.
So they have to receive 50 plus 1, is that correct? Or
Correct.
50% plus
If
one
no one
more.
if no one in the first election receives 50% plus 1 vote or more, then there would be a runoff of the top 2 vote getters.
May I have a motion to pass that ordinance?
Your Honor, I would move that we adopt this ordinance. It was my suggestion that we take it on. It gives an opportunity to the community to have more fair representation on the city council.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. York. Is there any further discussion?
I had one question, that's about the final sentence. A facsimile of the official ballot need not be published for secondary elections. So then, when the runoff comes about 2 weeks later, there will not be an official publication of any kind in the newspaper, or?
Notice is required. Well, there'd be a legal notice published in the paper notifying people that an election will be held on the date that it's to be held. However, as we do now, there's one of 2 notices that's required for the first election that is a facsimile of the ballot. Under the runoff provisions, that's not required. And that's primarily because there's very little time between
That's true.
the election date and 2 weeks to get all that done is very, very short time frame. So.
Looks good.
Okay, is there any other questions or further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3 is the second reading of ordinance number 5-10, amending section 17.0104, paragraph 13, defining the timing for payment of certain sewer tapping fees. And Mike Berger?
Yes, thank you. The existing ordinance 17.0104, paragraph 13, calls for the sewer tapping fee to be paid at the time the excavation permit is issued. This ordinance has always stated that the city shall make the tap to the public sewer and that the property owner shall pay the current tapping fee. However, in some cases, it may not be known for certain if a tap exists or if one's going to be required until after the excavation occurs. So what we have done is made some minor changes to the ordinance to provide for the sewer tapping fee to be collected after a tap has been made to avoid charging a fee that might not be necessary. This is not a new fee, we're just changing the way in which we're collecting the fee.
May we have a motion, please, to accept that? So moved by Mr. Solberg, seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Meisenheimer. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mike. Next, we have a motion to authorize the finance officer to disperse an urban renewal board loan for Christy Torstensen, doing business as Worth Repeating, in the amount of $1,500. And I believe we'll just need a motion to approve that loan.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Arbogast, seconded. Seconded by Mr. Giselbeck? Okay. The Urban Renewal Board approved this loan to allow Mrs. Torstensen to purchase some equipment, which is allowable under Urban Renewal Board policy. So is there any further discussion?
Is anybody from Urban Renewal Board here? Or Christie?
I'm the liaison to that board, and I attended that meeting, and everything is fine with this particular loan.
Okay, if there isn't any further discussion, we have all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we'll have consideration of reimbursement request for additional sidewalk expenses in McKinley School area. And I believe Herb or Dave will speak to that.
I'll take care of it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you and good evening. At your last meeting, the city council reviewed and approved the reimbursement for sidewalk installation in the McKinley area for Mr. Dave Miller. Staff had told the council before that there was actually 4 people who installed sidewalks. I don't know why at the last meeting we just didn't ask for a blanket request from the council to reimburse any additional requests that we might receive, knowing full well we probably would. So that we've in fact had one more request that I know of for sure, and so that's why I'm here tonight to request your authorization to go ahead and handle the additional sidewalk expenses if they are requested with the people that installed sidewalk in the McKinley School area. We're talking a total reimbursement for all the project of $539.60. This issue was discussed with the Public Works Committee at the August 23rd meeting and comes with their recommendation for approval.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Giselbeck, seconded?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Wilson. Any further discussion?
Question, is there a cutoff date for applications for this reimbursement? If so, and also, does staff check these spots out?
Staff has checked them. We're the ones that took the measurements. We're the ones that made the determination of the amount of square feet that would be reimbursed at $1 per square foot for the 4 parties involved. We hadn't, in fact, put a deadline on it, but I would assume that you could do that as a governmental body, and my recommendation would be if we haven't seen them by September 30th, that the issue goes away.
That might not be a bad idea.
I make amendment to the motion to do that.
Okay, there's amendment to that motion to institute a deadline of, what was the date again, Herb?
September 30th.
September 30th to allow reimbursement. May I have a motion for that, please? Let's see, Tuffy, you made the motion, seconded? Seconded by Mr. Wilson. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Let the record stand there was 1 opposition, Mr. Heller. Otherwise, the motion carried.
Correction, that was on the amendment. Now we have to vote on
Oh, I'm
the
sorry. Okay,
motion
now we
with
have,
amendment.
okay. So now we need a motion to, we just vote on the, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All against?
That was me.
You, George, okay. Again, we have 1 dissenting vote, so hopefully that will put that to rest. Next is the open. Is there anyone to speak to the open? If not, we'll go to old business, and Alderman Heller would like to speak to us in regards to the old business.
Yeah, if you just give me a minute to get set up here. Well, we tried last spring. We got some good help, I think, from the street department, and the police department was asked to write citations. I, in fact, don't know if they really did that or not. I know of one that was written by a reserve officer, but I don't know about any others. Anyway, and I don't mean to imply that the area that I picked this stuff up in is any worse than any other area in town, because it isn't. it seems to be that the closer we get to downtown, the worse it is. But, you know, my only object in doing this is to see if we can't get the parents and grandparents who haven't done a very good job of teaching their children to be good stewards of the environment. And it may be my fault, maybe your fault, whoever's fault it is. It's a sad deal, it really is. But I made 4 trips downtown, walking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today. Now these are not in that order, but they'll be close. I made a mess, and I meant to make a mess. That's our society, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that sad? It is to me. That's approximately 1.5 miles worth of trash pickup. How many miles in the city of Watertown, Mike, are there? Over 100 miles of streets? 248. Multiply that by 200 times. That's what you got laying in your streets. You know, we spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars trying to teach the people not to put grass, leaves, sand in the water systems. Where do people think that stuff goes? If it's laying in the street and it rains, nobody's got around to pick it up, it goes in the sewer, in the storm sewer, eventually into the river. How many years do you think it's going to take for those plastic bottles to deteriorate? Thousands of years. Cans. I'm just sick by this whole thing. And I know it seems like the harder I try, the farther behind I get. So if I could ask for everybody's help, just go out in the street, take a look when you put your trash cans out, pick up the street in front of your house. It's not a big deal, but it certainly would help the environment. That's all I've got to say. Thanks.
You know, I see a lot of my neighbors, and I guess I would encourage others to do the same. When you're out going for a walk, take a bag along like George does, because it's going to be us that picks it up. And there are a lot of people that go out for walks, and we can make a difference in this. And if people start to see others picking it up, maybe the message starts to get through to the people that throw it out. But we are a throwaway society, and this is what we get.
Thank you, Alderman Heller. We'll move to the next item number 8, which is new. I'm sorry, Herb, you had something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, if you look at in this pile here, you got quite a bit of recyclables. And those, the city actually gets credit for recycling cans and plastic and that, and keeping it out of our garbage. That's money that does come back to the city. So if we don't put it in the street and we put it in a recyclable container, the city benefits.
Thank you, Herb. Anyone else wish to make a comment before we move on to the next item? It certainly is very graphic what we see before us, and of course, as Alderman Heller was saying, you know, there's really just, if everybody would just, when they're out for a walk, to take a bag along and pick up a little bit of litter here and there, it really makes a difference. And so, and again, we all need to be good stewards of our land and that, and I don't think anyone can argue that point. So, again, thank you for that demonstration, Mr. Heller. The next item we'll go to is under new business. Is there any new business to come before the council?
Mayor, I have just a couple things I want to mention to the council. One, at your last meeting, along with your budget book, you should have received 2 or 3 pages of information on the alcoholic beverage licenses that the city issues. I know from time to time I get questions from council members, and it's the whole area at times can be very confusing with the different types of licenses, the different fees that are involved, and so we prepared this kind of a cheat sheet for you for reference when you do have those questions, so hopefully you can kind of clear up any confusion that you folks might have. That's just an informational piece that we put together. The other thing is the 2005 South Dakota Municipal League Conference is coming up in October. It'll be October 5th, 6th, and 7th in Sioux Falls. So it's relatively close this year. And I do have the registration materials. We need to get our registration, advanced registration in by September 9th. So if any of you folks are interested in attending October 5, 6, and 7 at the Ramkota in Sioux Falls for the annual South Dakota Municipal League Conference, see me and we'll make sure you get registered, and we can help you get a room booked down there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Is there any other new business to come before the council? Are there any liaison member reports? There will not be any executive session this evening. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Mr. Meisenheimer. A second? Second. Second by Mr. Solberg. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will stand adjourned.